This is a Rogue Media Network podcast. This is Central Texas Life with Ann Harder.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Central Texas Life. And I want to introduce you to Felix Chiota.
Yes, ma'am.
Who I just met recently at Marie's, and we've had Marie's wine bar folks on and talking about that wonderful place, and I happened to meet you there with your lovely lady friend, and it was just so wonderful to meet someone who has come to Central Texas, in your case, from a long way off,
Correct.
Zimbabwe,
Yes.
and made this your home.
28 years it's been. But yeah, I definitely, first of all, want to say thank you to you and Rogue Media for having me here today. And it was a pleasure meeting you and Mike. And my girlfriend, Mandy, loved chatting with you. And she'll be here this weekend, as a matter of fact.
Oh, good.
But yes, Waco's been home for me for 28 years now. It's 29 years in August. So in 1995, I landed here in Waco to pursue my lifelong dream of being a pilot. And the blessing and the opportunity to do it in America was something that I never thought it would be a reality when I was growing up back then.
Well, tell me a little bit about your growing up years in Zimbabwe. And you have a lot of family still there, so I'm sure you go back and forth to visit. How long a trip is that?
8,000 miles long.
Oh, my goodness.
So it typically takes, I've done it a few times, as you can imagine. As far as the days go, it's probably 2 to 2.5 days.
Wow.
With multiple connections in between. Unfortunately, if you want to save money, that's what it takes to make stops in Europe, and a couple of stops in Africa before you finally get to your destination. So I've gotten used to it. I don't go as often as I would love to because of work commitments.
Sure.
My life is here now, and the cost, of course. But growing up in Zimbabwe, I was raised mostly by my grandparents and my aunts. My mother remarried, and so I have 3 half siblings, 2 brothers and a sister. 2 of them are still in Zimbabwe. One just got married. My sister has got two children. I've got a nephew and a niece. She's married over there, and she helps. The 2 of them help take care of my mother. Mm-hmm. And then the brother who comes after me, he's in England, and he's got a daughter and a son as well. So I stay connected to them. I have certainly an extended family that's there, aunts and uncles. I've got I couldn't tell you how many nieces and nephews I have now between all second cousins and such over the years. But being raised with my grandmother, it was challenging. I lived in a neighborhood that certainly was not like the neighborhood I live in now, but it helped me be ambitious to try and better my life. Worked hard in school. When I was going to school, it was around the time, at least when I could remember, that segregation was just ending. So the white rule was over. They were integrating the schools. And I had the privilege of going to a school that had been recently integrated. So I credit that integration of schools and my age at the time for the gift of being able to speak English the way I used to speak when I came here 28 years ago. I don't think I speak it as well as I used to back then. But I fell in love with education, and along the way, something about aviation just spoke to me. Mm-hmm. When I would see airplanes flying in the air, I would just wonder what it was like to be up there, and then
like a bird.
Like a bird. And somewhere along the way, I thought, I would like to be that person too.
Yeah.
I think I'd love to fly airplanes. And we had a neighbor who was actually a flight attendant. So I picked his brain a little bit. He was a flight attendant for Air Zimbabwe, and so that kind of started to grow. And I would speak with my mom when I would visit with her, and she encouraged me to do whatever I needed to do to pursue it. Initially I thought actually I'll try to go through Air Zimbabwe or the Air Force when I was older, when I was at that age where I could apply, which I did.
Right. And
that didn't happen for me, unfortunately. But because of a series of events, my stepfather passed away, and he left to the side a little bit of money. And me being the oldest, by the way, of the 4 children that my mother has, my mother and I and the other family talked about, if I want to be a pilot, we got to take you to a place where you can do this because it's not working out at home.
Right.
So with that money, my mother spoke with a few people that were able to find schools in the U.S. At least in Zimbabwe in 1993, 94, there was no such thing as the internet where I could just Google at Baylor or any other
Right.
aviation university.
Yeah,
So-
it's hard to imagine. That
Yeah.
doesn't seem like that long ago.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a bit of a challenge for me to learn what was available.
Right.
I knew a little bit about America from watching TV. My grandmother loved the soap operas, right? Dallas, Falcon Crest,
Oh, yeah.
Dynasty, Sanford and Son, things like that. So there was a little bit of awareness of what America, what life in America was, at least the illusion of what it was like. So anyway, so I'd go to the embassy, educate myself, write letters. I applied to Baylor and a few other schools which were recommended to me that could possibly offer what I was pursuing to as a degree program. And Baylor chose me. Interestingly enough, of course, that was around the time when Waco was in the news for not very popular reasons.
Oh, yeah.
But still,
the mid-'90s, right,
Yes.
following the Branch Davidian.
Yes.
Yes, right.
But nevertheless, something drew me to Waco. I knew little. Again, there was no internet.
Right.
Baylor University, the Baptist College, because I did go to my Baptist churches when I was growing
I
up.
wondered if there was a religious component too.
Correct. So there was, if any connection, it was the Baptist Church.
Yeah.
And Texas, really.
Yeah.
I believe I took off on the 22nd of August, 1995. I landed here August 24th. I was tired. This is back when it was Madison Cooper Airport, if you recall.
Oh, yes. Oh, gosh, yeah.
And I was met with my Baylor folks. Very overwhelming, Anne. I'm 20 years old. at
It
this
had to
time.
have been.
Yeah.
Such a strange.
So I tell
Lies.
people this, and obviously it's been a long time now, and I have to think quite a bit about what it was like. But for the first time in my life, I'm realizing you're a minority. This is life for you now. Oh. Yeah. And going to Baylor campus, that's what it was, especially back then.
Right.
So adjusting was really difficult. It was really challenging. Just being able to communicate. I cannot understand them. They cannot understand me. Making friends, the food. It was. I mean, I didn't come from a place of affluence. So some of the things I would see here, they blew my mind.
I'll bet, yeah.
Yeah. So, but fortunately, because Baylor, the way that they have the international students program set up, it was very accommodating to people exactly in my situation. How can we make a space for you? How can we make
Yeah,
you
did
feel
you know the
comfortable?
Pittmans?
I did not.
Gene and Ann Pittman, they were always very involved with the international students.
I did not know them. No.
They might have already kind of retired from that at that point, but
I worked
yeah.
a lot with Dr. June Rose Garrett. I don't know if that name rings a bell, but she was over the international students program, and Ms. Beth Walker. Anyway, so again, I got to meet other international students. Went to Highland Baptist Church. Was involved in that quite a bit. And
Well, we were there at the same time then.
Yeah. Actually, I bring Highland Baptist Church and of several other benefactors along the way because in this conversation, chiefly because as I was going through my education program at Baylor, though financially the money was there when I first began for my stepfather's passing, life insurance proceeds, and my mother was an active physician at the time, so she was doing quite well, and the Zimbabwean economy was also doing well in the early 90s and mid 90s. But things changed, and they changed rather rapidly.
Really?
So it became difficult for my mother to keep me in school. So I had to reach out and lean on a lot of people for some financial support because if you're not able to stay in school, you have no business being in the United States.
Right.
So there was a very stressful time for me
Oh, my goodness.
in the middle of my education.
Yeah.
And trying to be a pilot as well. The challenge of being a professional pilot and trying to get the academic side at Baylor, those two expenses were a lot more than I was aware of at the time, unfortunately. But my faith in the community that I was in, the Waco community, Baptist Church, Baylor University, and people that were connected with the university, I owe them a lot of debt of gratitude because financially, there's just no way I would have made it.
Wow.
I had the blessing of tutoring several students. Apparently I was pretty decent in calculus back in the day. So one of the kids I was tutoring, I got to know his parents. We became friends, and they became so invested in my dreams and my pursuits. And so they were very instrumental also in trying to making sure that I stay in school and follow my American dream.
Oh, that's
So
a
it's
tremendous story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Waco has been a tremendous place for me, and over the course of my career, obviously I travel a lot as a professional pilot. People always say, "What are you doing in Waco?" And-
You came to Baylor and stayed.
Yeah, and if I sit to tell my story to every person that I meet, I'll never get anything done. But I am here and will always be here for a long, long time, because there is no me, there is no professional pilot Felix, there is no Chiota Aviation without this community. It's just what it is, and I'm very grateful for that.
Well, now you're professionally, you have done a lot of education yourself as a flight instructor, and
Correct. In fact, when I graduated, like most people, we go down the path. If you're not going through the military, you go down the path of becoming a teacher yourself to get your hours. Then you can move on. So, my first job was flight instructing at the McGregor Airport for
Yeah.
one of my mentors and great friends, Jim Allman, who is actually involved in the Freedom Ball that's happening this weekend, which we'll
Yeah,
visit
that's
about at
right,
some
yeah.
point. But so I was one of his first flight instructors. Right after I graduated from Baylor and THTC. And beyond that, I started flying professionally. I flew for an airline for a little bit. Then I fly now for a company that operates the largest business, is the largest business jet operator in the world. And I do that type of flying, and I love that kind of flying that I do. So, again, we talked about how grateful I am. And so when somebody has been blessed and being as successful as I have been in life, what do you do to sort of express that gratitude empirically, if you will?
yeah, how do you give back?
How do you give back? And the best way I know how to was to start a flight school.
Yeah.
It's the flight school business. If you talk to anybody, it's not easy. Any aviation business, as a matter of fact, there's an adage that we all say in aviation, and it starts off with a question. The question is, how do you make a small fortune in aviation? You want to take a guess at the answer to that question? No, right?
No,
You start with a large fortune.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, right. I was going to
Oh,
say,
yeah, all
how
that-
do you get
all
$1
that
million?
is
Well, you start off with $1
Yeah.
million, and then
Yeah, all that to say, it's just a challenging business, but I'm passionate about aviation. I've been an adjunct lecturer at Baylor. I've worked with the FAA as part of the testing program for pilots that are going through different certifications. They assign contractors across the U.S. to do specific exams so that pilots can advance. And of course, I have my flight school, Chiota Aviation, that's at Waco.
Now, is that primarily an instructor kind of position, or is it your commercial
So what we offer,
flying that you do for?
at the flight school, we offer people that, like you and Mike's, for example, you got some extra time you want to fly. Say after this podcast, you want to go to the airport and
That's a
get
beautiful
your
day.
exactly get your flight lesson. We pair you up with an instructor that works with your schedule, and we put you in an airplane that you feel is best for you. You train on your schedule, and when you complete the course of training that the Federal Aviation Administration requires you to complete, you go get tested, and you get your flight test done, and you become a private pilot. So once we've trained you, we give you the opportunity to rent one of our airplanes if you wanted to go visit your grandkids, your
yeah.
friends,
Oh,
go
wow.
do a weekend getaway. So we offer flight training and aircraft rental. So what I say giving back, because for me, when somebody graduates from Baylor or THTC, or have people from two of my instructors actually are from Illinois, how do they get their hours so they can move on? They need somebody that can open their doors and say, come and teach for me. So that's what I do. So these guys come in, they get their hours, they move on. So I've mentored a lot of these young
I bet you have,
aviators
yeah.
that have gone on to be captains in regional airlines and major airlines. So that's a small part of my contribution. This event we're going to talk about, I volunteer at the Freedom Ball as well. So it's a small thing. We donate flights to different causes for fundraisers. People reach out to us and say,
That's a
Yeah.
great
yeah,
idea
Yeah.
to have. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
When I serve on a committee that needs a
Yeah.
a good item for their silent or audible auction,
Exactly,
that would
exactly.
be.
Yes, we're
I'll
doing
have
that
to-
this
I'll have to
weekend.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, it's there's so much that you're doing here in Central Texas. You have other interests, though. I understand you like to learn languages.
Oh my God. Well, I've Spanish, we're working on Spanish and English and German for a long, long time.
Oh, really?
But don't even try. I need to go back to basics. But my other passion actually is, I have a guitar that I pick up and try to teach myself, and sometimes I've taken lessons because I definitely love that.
Yeah.
It'll take me as long as it's going to take me to learn, but that's one of my ambitions is to learn how to play guitar.
Are you a singer? Or you want to play Spanish guitar? Is there?
I just have an acoustic guitar.
Yeah,
Just play
acoustic.
my singing is no. I don't sing well. Certainly, what part of my lifestyle certainly involves staying physically active. So I love anything that gets my blood pumping, and so I spend a lot of time in the gym. I run. I've got a bike that I ride occasionally. So yeah, those are some of the things that clear my mind. I'm very active. I love meditation as well. So that's something that I've really found to be beneficial for my
Oh, really?
well-being.
Yeah. Any suggestions on how to start that kind of practice?
There are a lot of free apps
Uh-huh.
or even YouTube that you can participate in a guided meditation
Really?
and just learn your way around.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, it's just stillness and
Yeah.
just
We don't have a lot of that in our modern day life.
no. Sometimes you just need
Just
to
taking that
pause.
time to
Yeah.
sit and reflect and be quiet.
Yes. It's
People don't take
challenging,
much time
but
to do that.
just yeah. But the more like anything, the more you practice it, perhaps the easier it gets, and more you feel more of the
But
reward.
I would think if you're up in an airplane and seeing the world below, that there'd be some opportunity for that quiet reflection
definitely,
too. Yeah.
definitely. I'll tell you, for some of the best times that I've said, man, I'm grateful that I'm a pilot. I would say, for example, tonight, when the sun sets, most of the flying activity slows down. It's going to be this time of the year. The air is smooth, the skies are clear. You can see as far away as you want, practically. You get up there to 3,000 or 4,000 feet. If you're in the Waco area, you can call out Houston, you can call out Austin, you can call out Dallas, and just the tranquility because of the stillness of the night, the quietness over the frequencies because nobody's out there flying, the hum of the engine. It's
Yeah.
That's definitely another way to meditate.
Yeah, waxing poetic
Amen.
about all that. You do love to travel, though. Speaking of which, any favorite destinations?
Wow, that's a great one.
I mean, other than home.
Other
too.
than home,
Yeah.
I love San Diego, and I've gone to probably recently. I've gone to Turks and Caicos in the last year and a half, 4 or 5 times.
Really?
I've got a great friend of mine that has an airplane that he likes me to join him on his flights. He's a pilot himself, so we go out there and spend a few days. So I've actually taken Mandy as well, but it's again another place to find some tranquility and peace is just by the water, right? Just hearing the waves crashing into the sand, and just walking in it. And yeah, that's definitely another place that I enjoy escaping to when I can.
Oh, sounds delightful.
Yeah.
It's just really wonderful to meet somebody like yourself. Overcame a lot of challenges along the way.
Yeah.
Traveled a long way to get here, and we're so grateful for that.
I am too. I really am. Again, I love the opportunity to share my story and to let people know that we're out there to help you with your flight training needs. And I'm always looking for opportunities where I can serve and do something small, is whatever I can. If it can help somebody, then I feel like every day I'm trying to do something that can help somebody else the way I've been helped.
Yeah. Well, I like to end these little visits with a questionnaire. It's similar to the one the late, great James Lipton would use on Inside the Actor's Studio. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not.
At least the skits.
What is your favorite word?
Wow. Actually.
Actually, really?
Only because I use it frequently. I guess, let me try that again. That's just a word I use frequently. My favorite word would be, I've never been asked that, so I might have to think about that for a second. Favorite word. Wow. What's yours?
Now, don't go doing that. I don't know. I've asked this question of so many guests, and I've heard, so many response is like, I'll just pull one out of there, possibility or, yes or love or,
I've
those
used
kind
it
of things.
actually. I've used it today, probably at least twice now. Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Yes.
That's a good one.
I use it every day.
You win on that one.
I use it every day.
You get the gold star on that one.
Yeah.
Well, what's your least favorite word?
Failure.
Yeah.
I think failure is an attitude. Because anything you try to do, you may not get the outcome that you want, but you still learn something from it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Music.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It sounds like you enjoy making music, learning to make music.
And speaking of music, part of my this vision I had of coming to America was expressed in part through music.
Really?
One of my my favorite artists, I should say, is Bruce Springsteen, and
Yeah.
he tells great stories. And the first time I met him was in 1988. I didn't meet him, I beg your pardon. I went to a concert, a human rights concert in Zimbabwe. Had to do with apartheid in South Africa and all those things. So he was there, and other musicians, Tracy Chapman, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Peter Gabriel, Sting.
Oh, my goodness.
A lot of international
What a
artists were
concert,
there.
yeah.
So, and my stepfather actually introduced me to his music, and so I just started listening to the tapes, and I just fell in love with his storytelling, and actually Dave and I last year in February he and I went up to Dallas and saw him in concert.
Talking about
yeah.
Dave Ennis?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
yes. So yeah, listening to Bruce, Land of Hope and Dreams. That's what I think about is
Yeah.
America, and this is the land of hope and dreams. And every day I wake up, I'm given an opportunity to live that dream. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're grateful for that, too.
Yes, indeed.
Then what turns you off creatively or emotionally or spiritually?
Suffering.
Yeah. Yeah, that's hard. That's hard.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
It's a part of life.
Indeed.
We don't escape it.
No. But there's always tomorrow, and we can live another day, live through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about music, but what is your favorite sound?
The ocean.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I hear that many, many
Yeah.
times. Yeah.
I mean, I would say it's a tie. The ocean and the sound of a jet engine or a propeller.
I was going to say you
Yeah.
talked about that. You
Yeah.
spoke so beautifully of
Yes,
that,
yes,
of that
yes.
moment of,
Yeah.
of solitude and hearing that. Yeah, exactly. Well, what is your least favorite sound?
Alarm clock.
Yeah. Well, you have executed your dream of being in aviation so beautifully. But what other profession would you have liked to have tried?
What other profession? When I was in school, I thought I would have been I wanted to be a history professor. So that'll be in the one, and I guess I dabbled a little
kind
bit
of done
in it.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you've kind of done. Well, what job do you know you would not want to do? No, thank you.
I hope my mother doesn't hear this, but I would want to be a doctor. she's a doctor herself, like I said earlier on, but I don't think I could handle that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And I've heard that from other people
yeah,
too. We appreciate them.
yeah. Yes,
and,
we do.
You know, but man, that would be tough. Well, one last question: when you arrive at the pearly gates, what do you want to hear God say?
I never left you. Yeah. And welcome home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know that.
Yeah.
Well, it has been a delight, Felix, to get to know you a little bit better, to hear your story, and just to celebrate the fact that you made those decisions when you were young and persevered through some hardship in all that. And here we are today talking about your business. And so how can folks get in touch with you at Chiota Aviation?
So we're quite active on social media. Our website is
Yeah.
ChiotaAviation.com. You can look me up personally on social media. I'm on there. Our email is fly@chiotaAviation.com. My number is 254-855-3424. Feel free to call me directly. But yeah, we're easy to find.
Yeah.
We have signage at the Waco Regional Airport as well. If you're on your way there, they can help. The folks at the Texas Aero can help you find us if you get lost.
I have no doubt there are people who, on their bucket list,
Yeah.
are to spend some time with you
Yeah, yeah.
and learn how to fly.
Would love
And,
to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, all the best to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Felix,
having me
your
today,
time.
and
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. This, by the way, I've meant to warn you that this is or was my first podcast. So
Good. Well, I hope
Yeah.
you found the experience at least not too intimidating.
no, not at all. I felt really relaxed, and thank you
Well,
for
good.
being such a
Well,
host.
it's just been a delight for
Wonderful
me. I
host,
appreciate
yeah.
you so much.
Thank you. All right.
And thank you for being with us. We hope you'll join us again next time on Central Texas Life. Bye-bye.
Central Texas Life with Ann Harder is part of the Rogue Media family. Be sure to check out our other shows at roguemedianetwork.com. Please rate this show 5 stars on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Join us again soon for more Central Texas Life with Ann Harder. This has been a Rogue Media Network